what you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
Richardson gonna take off and run. He's in there! Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! Outside give to Taylor. Stretching it out. He's at the 5, and he walks in untouched. Jonathan Taylor. Turner wants to do more damage, and he does.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome in. We are back at Harris Hoosier Park in Anderson. The Dan Patch coming at you later on this evening. Cam is the on-site engineer. Hey, my name is JMV. Thank you all for joining us. And I was out yesterday, and not only did I hear from all of you, and I love when I hear from all of you how good of a time you had with who was in for me yesterday. Greg Rakestraw had a variety of guests, including I was bummed about missing Carson Steele, the Kansas City Chiefs, yesterday. Given his situation within that offense, at least so far as a rookie in Kansas City. But, man, Greg did a great job at the Indiana State Fair. Hopefully you got out to see him. Keep in mind at the State Fair coming up later on tonight, you got Belle Biv DeVoe on the free stage. They are friends of this show, and I'm going to tell you, I've seen them probably more times than about everybody out there listening right now. Every show is great. Like somebody had just actually sent me an X message and said, I don't know where you get the energy. And I said, well, part of my energy, like yesterday I go down to GC, help out my mom, do some things with my mom. I get back up here last night. I play some hoop until about 11:15, get up at 5:50, make sure Lainey gets off to school, and mow the yard today, do a couple of things around the house. And it seems like that I keep going all the time, and I guess to a degree I do. But here's what I have found out that this works for me. Somebody had asked, where do you get all this energy? Or 54. And again, 54 to me right now is nothing like, for example, my grandfather at 54. Or when I was 14 or 10, what I thought 54 was. And how I keep up the energy level in with whatever I do is I set out to have a stinking good time everywhere I go with whatever I do. Now, it is virtually impossible because we hit speed bumps and the pitfalls and the pains in the asses and all of that. It just happens. It's a part of life. But I try to be as fun-loving at every stop along the way, and I think that creates an inner energy that helps you get to whatever you're going to next. And, you know, that was last night, that is this morning, and I am happy to be back at Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. We are in Anderson. You can check us out, again, inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. We're on there with you as well. All of our friends of the show, and remember, AAA membership gives you the opportunity to go VIP to Imagine Dragons at Ruoff. I'll tell you how you can do that coming up a little bit later on in what is a loaded show. But again, thanks to Greg Rakestraw and everybody yesterday for putting that together. It was an outstanding show, and Greg always does such a great job. And as a host, Greg is perfect this time of year because Greg's going to be on the call, in which you can see on the NFL Network coming up on Sunday, of that first Colts preseason game. He and Rick Venturi and Lara Overton. Should be an outstanding time. So not only do you get that from Greg, but you also get the fact that we're now 2 weeks away from later on tonight, the start of the high school football season, and there is nobody around that knows more, is as well-versed and documented as being in high school football, in and around high school athletics basically forever than Greg Rakestraw. So again, shout out to Greg yesterday for doing the job and sitting in for me. Shout out to my mom for taking it easy on me yesterday. Taking me to Linton. I had a good time in Linton for a while. And I met a lot of great people. And I want to give a shout over in Liston, Indiana, to Steve Edwards and his wife, Pam. They are listeners every single day. And let me tell you, that is incredibly valuable in the world of radio. Every single day, Steve and Pam listen to the show. We talked about sitting outside and just kind of taking in the great weather and listening to the show. Steve and Pam, it was a great time with you guys yesterday, and thank you for listening on a daily basis, as you do, certainly. All right, I mentioned, too, it's a loaded show. Greg, obviously, yesterday, he's going to be a part of that pregame coverage and the in-game coverage of the Colts coming up on Sunday. But me and the pregame show is back again, and I have two of the three on this show when we start at 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning for preseason game number 1 with the Broncos and the Colts. So, of course, that's me, the Gorman, Joe Reitz, and Bill Brooks. I know Greg had Bill Brooks on the show yesterday. But coming up at the bottom of the hour, our friend the Gorman, that is Jeffrey Gorman, is going to join us. We're going to talk about that first preseason game, get you set for touchdown town, because all of a sudden now, even though I know a lot of you get bummed out on preseason games and such, for many it's a big deal because for a lot of people, they don't get the opportunity to go over the course of the regular season. And this is their opportunity, in fact, to go back-to-back in these first 2 of the preseason. And we'll talk to the Gorman about that because we'll be live in touchdown beginning at 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning. The Gorman, bottom of the hour. Joe Reitz, the former Colts offensive lineman, is going to be here from a variety of angles. The criticisms would certainly, we probably touch off more than the optimism, just because you're going off of the end result of a year ago, just because you haven't seen a lot yet. I'll give you a great example. Like today in camp, from what everybody was talking about, Anthony Richardson looked pretty good. Now, when somebody looks pretty good, that means somebody doesn't look very good. And unfortunately, that sounds like the Colts secondary that doesn't look very good. There's that delicate balance that you have to have. Now, it's funny, if you could get a tweener on this delicate balance and be ready for the start of the season, that's exactly what you need. But normally right now, while somebody is playing well, whether it's the quarterback or the wide receiver is getting loose, or maybe it's a tight end that's showing you something that certainly this team needs, that is necessary at that position for this team, that means somebody more than likely in the secondary, somebody on defense, is not having a good day. So that evidently was the case a little bit earlier. We'll talk to Joe Reitz about that. Joe Reitz about a variety of things regarding the Colts in that first preseason game. And I'm sure we'll jump into next week because I'll be at Grant Park a couple of days next week for those practices with the Cardinals. So I will see a lot of you folks out at Grant Park for the first time during this preseason and training camp coming up next week. So cannot wait for that. And Joe Reitz is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Mike Wells of ESPN Radio coming up at about 4:30. With Mike, we have a variety to talk about. And I thought yesterday, as I was taking a break between getting my mom to here and there and everywhere and dealing with the stray dogs and all that entails Greene County living, while I was doing that, I had the opportunity to watch Team USA and Serbia yesterday. I had watched every Serbian performance, and to me, almost all of those games are so stinking lackluster. And you could tell at the beginning it was one of those moments where Serbia was knocking down everything, hitting down a high volume of threes, and Team USA, which is the way that they put themselves in position to have a massive, kind of remember this day in history upset, it's because on the offensive end, they jack around. It becomes like a one-man gang. They're talented enough to do that every single time they play. That group is just way too talented. You can do it. But what I'm telling you is you don't want to do it, because with a team, for example, that's now playing for the bronze like Germany, we saw that a year ago, that role plays into their hands. Now we'll see if France and the whole home court advantage thing, home country advantage, has a role to play coming up tomorrow. I would make an argument here that yesterday against Serbia, if there was a necessary wake-up call of, hey, this is how you play to get beat right here. Because the offense was so stinking awful for the first half and into the third. I had sent out an X message yesterday saying, hey, thanks a lot for saving this awful offensive play for when it really matters the entire way. Don't get me wrong, especially of Team USA. But, all of a sudden you're on the verge of getting to the gold medal game. And there were a couple of different moments in that second half where you thought that Serbia for real was going to pull the upset. You thought for real they were going to get the job done, and Team USA didn't have answers on either end. And it's funny, I know Steve Kerr talked about this afterwards, and a couple of players talked about how they ratcheted down defensively. I still would argue that it wasn't so much of that. You kind of knew that Serbia wasn't going to continue on that particular pace, and maybe they started to track down Bogdanovic and get in his airspace a little bit more and not leave guys wide-ass open. But when you think about one particular play that was late in the fourth, where I believe Team USA was up 1, you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe up 1, maybe down 1. But Serbia off the offensive glass had a wide-ass open look. And I said down in GC at the time, and my mom's sitting there and Blake's sitting there, and I said, that was the moment of the game. There's the difference. That was the difference. If that shot goes down, wide open shot, if that goes down, I think the upset's going to be pulled. Now, granted, it's tough to really say that because Team USA has so many alpha dogs across the floor. But I thought Steph Curry said it best when asked after the game. Sometimes that can be a detriment because sometimes you get guys passing up shots that they would normally take. Sometimes you get guys that dribble the air out of the basketball trying to make shots or create shots or get in that comfort zone, that area where they normally score, and that takes all the air out of the offense. And I thought if there was going to be a time, remember throughout these Olympic Games and even prior to when Tyrese Halliburton wasn't playing, I said, it's going to take one game where this offense is stuck, is rutted. And believe me, when their offense is more singular than team-oriented, it is awful to watch. It is awful. And I know that they make shots oftentimes out of it, but it doesn't make it aesthetically pretty or pleasing to watch. It is some really bad offensive basketball, but you have shot-making ability from guys that are clearly the best in the world. But I thought out of all the games that there was going to be one moment when they were going to recognize the need for Tyrese Halliburton. Man, get some stinking ball movement. Get out with a little bit of pace. Well, wait a minute. What about the defense? Derek White's got to be out there defensively. Derek White had all sorts of issues yesterday defensively. All sorts, including that 4-point play. All sorts of issues. So I thought combined with that, maybe you would see him. Alas, you didn't, and you can also see why. Even more than Derek White taking the minutes from Halliburton, what you got is LeBron James has been ball dominant. LeBron James had the ball. LeBron James was bringing it up the floor. So you kind of knew when you watched that there was no way in the world that Halliburton was going to get in the game. And I'm going to sit here and cry and whine about it because I do understand. I do understand. You should understand as well. As a Pacer fan, it may get you bent out of shape. You may get pissed off about it, but you look at that team and you can make an argument as to, okay, so who are you going to sub out here? And the reason that I was able, I thought, to make that argument for what I thought would occur at some point over this 2-week period was because the guy in for him that was noted to play strongly on a certain side of the basketball wasn't doing that. And then on the offensive side, I should say, that team orientation was down the tubes. So I thought yesterday that would have been the time. And simply put, that was the moment that I have been talking about. That I thought, okay, well, this is where they're going to need him. all right, well, scrap the defense. And it's not like their defense. It was more their offense. When you get, and we see this with the Pacers all the time, and this is what I try to tell you about their defense. Do they need to get better defensively? Yes. But the one thing you can't take away is their offense, because an avalanche of an offense can take your heart just as much as a strong defensive possession. Knowing you can go to the other end and score at will takes the desire away as much to being able to stick somebody defensively. And when it got down, 14 and 15, and then every time that they cut into the lead, you get it down to 6 or 7, and then you saw Serbia run it right back up into double digits. Yeah, you thought that this may be the time. This may be the place. And then you had that offensive possession with an offensive board, and it was the left-handed dude for Serbia, who normally is rock solid from distance. Just shot that thing a little bit long. He had all the time in the world to get into it. There's the moment where Serbia lost. Now, others would talk about the 6-point play, which there's no doubt about that. 6-point plays. 6-point plays don't happen very often in basketball. And certainly you saw that yesterday play a significant role in the second half. But, man, that was a huge moment, a huge game. And I thought if there was going to be any time for Tyrese Halliburton, that yesterday was going to be it, because it was like screaming from the offensive end, lack of cohesion, lack of togetherness, lack of team play, lack of pace. And then it's not like you were helping yourself on the defensive end either. What the hell were you taking away? They're shooting a high clip from 3, but that didn't happen. And again, for those of you out there that want to make a specific argument, I gave you mine. I think past that, you just don't have much of one. I think, in fact, Tatum probably has a lot more with what he is as a player than Halliburton does. And certainly Tatum, as reports come out, doesn't seem like he's taking it as well as Tyrese Halliburton. You can look at this a couple of different ways, selfishly certainly, but with Halliburton, there's not a lot of wear and tear going on here. And I know a lot of people out there, because of the games that he missed, and especially those final 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals, that, the honor of playing in the Olympics is something that everybody would want, and you completely understand it. But selfishly, you're thinking, man, this guy needs a little bit of time away, a little bit of time to rest, and then also some time to get stronger, maybe some motivation to get stronger, the body stronger. He is athletically gifted as they come, but he's got to get stronger. And part of the motivation, the reason we have talked about with Tyrese Halliburton, what also can make this Pacer team better is being a little bit better defensively, and basically on a worldwide stage, on an international stage, that's exactly what he's been told. And, beyond the fact he doesn't play and you want to see him, that's something I would be certain somebody that is competitive at that level will recognize and work hard to rectify. So this may be incredibly beneficial on the other end for you Pacer fans. It's not like he didn't have that recognition anyway. You're not that good, and you don't recognize, your shortcomings and try to work on that. But at the same time, when you sit on the bench and get no clock, consider that was exciting as hell, even for a team that you think should roll out and win by 20 anytime they put on that uniform. That was exciting as hell. I mean, that was a gasper yesterday. It's funny, too. It was probably a gasper because even in this country, can you imagine? I wonder how many people out there actually wanted to see them lose. How many people wanted to see them lose to Serbia? You probably had people from here, and I never want to see that. But a lot of people around here, because of the lack of Halliburton clock, a lot of people around here because maybe you don't like certain guys on that team, or maybe you're gobbled up from the political angle, and that eats you alive on a 24/7 basis, maybe that's the situation. But there are a lot of people, I'm sure, in this country that wouldn't mind to see that group lose. And then obviously, you know, outside of the American fans like Travis Scott in the building in Paris yesterday, I'm sure a lot of that crowd would want it. And that's something they're going to see coming up tomorrow afternoon. There's going to be a lot of French hatred going on. I don't think that's going to be nearly enough. What's the spread, Cam? 16 points, I believe, right now with France and Team USA. I will sit here and tell you this. I can't imagine Team USA not absolutely blowing their doors off tomorrow after that near miss. The other thing that stands out, Steve Kerr, and I don't mind him as a coach. It's not like the way that he has coached and approached playing time here has affected it. I think he's a good coach, but you see one of the big reasons why he's been a really good coach is because he's got a guy that throws the life preserver around his ass when it's necessary, and that guy's name is Steph Curry. It is amazing how much better of a coach you are when you have somebody that can go out there and fill it up to the tune of 36 when you absolutely need it. There was no margin for error. You needed all of it. All of it. And think about life as Steve Kerr. Think about even more so life as Mark Jackson. If you remember, go all the way back to when Mark Jackson was the head coach of Golden State, and he came on this show with me. And I remember this vividly. And he said at the time, this is very early stages of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the Golden State backcourt. And he came on this show and said, these guys are the best guard combo of all time. And he said that then. He's still the coach. They haven't won a championship yet. He hadn't been run yet. He said that right then. And here's me scrambling to be a horse's ass, right, and go, well, wait a minute, what about Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas? You know, me with my arms crossed go, well, what about this and what about that? And then I kind of look back in reflection, and I go, my God, did I really say that? Did I offer up those options? And I did. But that goes to show you last night that there's a difference between you can be a really good coach, but ultimately at that level, at the NBA level, to get the success that a lot of these guys have, you have to have the dudes. And you saw Steve Kerr with the dude yesterday. And that was his guy from Golden State, Steph Curry, who absolutely saved Team USA's ass. I know we have to hit a break. Chris Hagan of Fox 59 is here. Hello, Chris.
John, once again, as I drove up here,
you know what?
You're wrong about 90% of the stuff you say, and I'll save it for after the break. But first, I do got to tell you, the place to watch the game Sunday is on Fox 59.
Yeah. Oh, was I wrong about that?
You were saying NFL Network.
No, I'm sorry. You got plenty of time to make up for my mistake.
Blue Zone at 12:30.
12:30.
Live on Fox 59, followed by kickoff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the highest-rated Emmy Award-winning pregame show, and you're going to sit here and tell them to go watch NFL Network.
I didn't mean to.
Well, that's why I'm here. Sorry I'm late. I was at Uranus.
Oh, did you go up there and get some fudge out of Uranus?
I had to get some fudge out of Uranus, and but now I'm here.
Was it dark fudge? Or light?
You know what?
Did you get the mocha? The
trying
mocha
to get me
fudge out of
fired?
Uranus?
You trying to get me fired?
Hey, so award-winning? Is that in the bio? Is that in the bio? I know it's the highest rated. It's like 59 overtime.
We have
Sunday
the
night.
highest-rated sports show on Sunday nights, of which you are a huge part.
Wish just gave up.
And we have the highest-rated Colts pregame show, which I'm sure you're busy with Gorman, but it's we have Mike Chappell on there. We have Joel A. Erickson from the Star. I mean, it is a star-studded cast every Sunday, and we'll have at least 20 games this year, preseason, post, and perhaps more. But still to come after the break. He's JMV. I'm Chris Hagan. What?
Gina Glaros wanted to know if I really did those hits on Sunday night on 59 overtime in my underwear. And I said, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Where are the ladies today? I mean, we're at the casino.
Today was going to be a little crowded show-wise, I thought.
Oh, you blew them off?
I did not blow them off, no. Don't anybody send anything to them.
He wants
I
a break.
Them off,
You've been running through this break for 10 minutes now.
That's Chris Hagan. I'm JMV. Thank you for joining us. The Dan Patch is later on tonight. Rick Moore runs things here. He's going to join us. Tony Wren's going to join us a little bit later on. We'll talk about all the festivities going on here at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Joe Reitz, 4 o'clock hour. Mike Wells is going to be here. The triumphant return of Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, in the 5 o'clock hour, too. But Chris and I, on the other side, get the Gorman. That's the Colts pregame huddle on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at Touchdown Town. The Gorman's a part of that group that also includes me. He's going to join us coming up next. The stream, the app, it's HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Hello to everybody in there. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
A ride with JMV.
Let me have a Diablo sandwich, a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Here's Fischer Park Racing and Casino at Anderson. Cam's the onside engineer. James back in the studio. That's Fleetwood Mac. I'm John. Chris Hagan, Fox 59 is here. Chris, say hello.
Hello.
AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live and on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He's going to be a part of the Colts pregame huddle coming up on Sunday, which would include me, along with Bill Brooks, and a guest coming up at 4 o'clock with Joe Reitz. The Gorman is here with us, Jeffrey Gorman. Hello, Gorman. How are you?
John, how are you today? And I'm glad Chris Hagan is there. John, I think you and I have known each other for a minute, and Hagan's a good friend. Probably about time we have an intervention with the old boy. I heard you mentioning Anderson up there, and, well, he likes the ponies and the cards and the dice up there, and every time I check, he's up there, taking his lunch money and trying to turn it into something. I just want to make sure everything's okay in Hagan's world.
For the 25 years I've been gambling nonstop, I've never felt like I had a problem.
Is that? I think that. Yeah,
you know what?
That's deeply rooted and meaningful that there's an issue there.
As soon as I heard that Gorman was the next guest, I said to myself, he's going to come off the top rope on his first comment. So, Jeffrey, you did not disappoint. But, yeah, I love it up here. Hey. But maybe you do have a problem when they all know you by name.
I know, but I'm saying, there's two guys at camp that I go, hey, where is Hagan today? Both of them without missing a beat. Probably up at Anderson.
Well, I own a horse up here. I have to come check on him.
That's good. Okay. Hey, fair enough. I didn't know that. So you're a horseman.
Well, it was a lie. I just made that up to try to have an excuse for coming up here.
I'll lay off you. I'm glad I got both you guys on today. John, we got some exciting stuff coming up at Touchdown Town this year. The question is, online and social media have been going crazy. Are you going to bring it this year, or are you going to be vanilla this year?
I'm going to be vanilla as hell. No, okay. I'm going to bring it. I mean, you're the one that you try to fire me up all the time. So it's tough to bring it like that way in preseason game one leading into it, unless you want to say, hey, if there was something that got worked over today, it was that secondary. If there's something we're worried about, it's that secondary. And that seems problematic. So I guess I could start right there, right?
You could. I just want to make sure you bring Wednesday's JMV to Sunday's show. You know what I'm saying?
I will.
Oh.
See, that's a call out right there. Can you tell?
Well, you got to tap dance sometimes. You got to know what side of the bread it's buttered on.
Yeah, not a bad point, man.
So we got some new stuff there. Have they added some toilets? Have they added new toilets there too in Touchdown Town?
An extra row of Porta-Johns, John. It'll be right next to us. We'll be stationed right next to it, and also we'll be right in the middle of where the band speakers are, so we can't hear ourselves think. It's a fun time. Yeah. It's a fun time.
Touchdown toilets.
You got live music down there. There's free giveaways and stuff. You see the Blue Crew over there, and everybody's coming up and dropping off Bud Lights and Bloody Marys to you. It's a good morning.
They know me all too well, don't they? There.
You think?
So, bringing me drinks. Yes, bringing me. So, the Gorman, again, Touchdown Town. We're going to be there beginning at 10 a.m. on Sunday. That is the Colts pregame huddle. Now, we have not had a meeting for this show yet. Is there anything that I'm missing, or is it all the same? Is there anything I should know in preparation?
It's more. The only difference is, and Hagan will like this, is more Gorman this whole season.
Yes.
Pregame shows. I mean, the people want more Gorman insights and opinions. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to really bring it, and I'm going to quiet up you and Joe Reitz, and me and Bill Brooks are really going to just kind of steamroll through that sucker.
So does that mean you're going to get there on time, or are you still going to get there like 5 minutes after we start?
Well, traffic and everything, plus church and everything that goes. Coming from church like we do. So, yeah.
All right.
Exciting. I can't wait. And, guys, I want to hear you. Let me interview you both right now. Hey, Drew Holtz used to say, hey, this is a good football team. I'm talking across both sides of the ball. We do have, we were about a player or two away from a playoff berth last year with Gardner Minshew. I'm really excited about this team. Even with an injury like Samson Ebukam, Josh Downs going down, they're going to be fine. Samson's out for the year. Josh Downs will be back. It really is. It's an exciting year. And if you can get a half to three quarters of whatever Anthony Richardson could bring. I need 75% out of him this year as far as, being on top of the game, the mentals part of it, as well as throwing tight balls around the yard. I'm telling you, man, it is going to be exciting. And I just want to get this off my chest and let you guys deal with it. Like, we talk about this Colts team and the weapons, and A.D. Mitchell's there and everything. The absolute straw that is stirring this offensive drink is Jonathan Taylor and the kind of year that he's going to have behind this offensive line, and with the health of the Anthony Richardson that can tuck it and go in the RPO game. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to sound like a homer or nothing, but this cat might be 1,700 yards plus this season. And if that's the case, that means controlling the clock and controlling the scoreboard.
You're exactly right, Jeffrey. And what people kind of forget is the rookie quarterback, the 4th overall pick last year, we only got 4 games, not even 4 complete games, and still, one play away really from winning the division, getting the playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
But people might forget the Texans had missed the extra point on that go-ahead touchdown. So you finish that drive and score, you're kicking the extra point, and who knows? Shane Steichen's probably coach of the year. There was so much came down to you are what your record says you are. You didn't make the playoffs, but just one play away, a drop pass on a 4th down, and you have the lion's share of those guys back. You have a healthy Richardson who did. Obviously, you can't, substitute the experience you get from reps, but he was in the room. He was, he was by no means far away from the team last year when they were playing without him. So there was some learning to be done there as well. And you're right. If he can live up to half of that potential that led him being, drafted number 4 overall, I think you're in great shape. You hate to lose 2 playmakers like Ebukam and Downs on both sides of the ball. Those guys are difference makers, but you think about the guys you return, some of the guys you brought in, a playmaker at wide receiver, a playmaker, edge rusher, and Latu. I think the sky's the limit. But, Jeffrey, it comes back to this, and I've told this to John a million times. I know it's a long season. I know you can't, win the division week 1. You can't lose it week 1. But, man, for the first time since 2013, the Colts need to win the opener. You got to win that home game against the defending champions of that division. If you lose that game, you're already, climbing uphill. Win that game. You have the leg up in the division, and I think it doesn't make a season 1 game, but it's a huge game to try to jump up and get a leg up.
Hey, can I ask you guys something? Why the brown nose in here? We haven't seen – they were at home last year and gagged that thing away.
They didn't have their franchise quarterback.
Who gives a crap? They were at home. They got a guy, Nico Collins, is still running with the football right now. What did they do to the secondary? Nothing. I'm just telling you, can we see it before we believe it?
If the Colts scored on that drive and went to the playoffs and who knows, maybe win a game,
results matter,
it's the same
Chris.
team. It's the same team.
Results matter, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I said, did you not hear me when I said you are what your record says you are? I said they didn't make the play. I said that loud and clear. But I'm saying, building on that, what you have back this year, and I just said – you got to show it week 1. You can't go out there and lose week 1 to the same team that kept you out of the playoffs last year.
John, I'm just making the point with Gardner, and bless his heart, and I hope he starts all 17 out in Vegas. But I'm just saying we got a different cat this year. So, everything that was almost and so close, yes, and, of course, Nico Collins aside, one play here and there, I know. But that's all I'm saying. The excitement, you have to be level because we're talking about a quarterback, 4th overall pick, like you said, and then Minshew's been a journeyman there. So, I'm just talking about excitement and what could happen. Obviously, always.
John's just a hater, Jeffrey. We know that.
I'm not trying to squash your enthusiasm at all.
John's up here scaring the bartender at the casino. She just looked up like something happened.
It was good that he didn't play. You got to soak it all up. But what?
I said it wasn't good that he didn't play. I said
you get to soak it all up.
I said a positive. No. I said there's no substitute for reps. Do you listen to the show, John? Do you listen to your own show?
I'm with you, John. And Shane Steichen came out today and said the starters, pretty much all of them across the board are going to play a series or 2 on both sides of the ball. And I really do hope that Anthony gets some extra extended reps somehow, some way, even in week 2 if you're going against Arizona, and he can put on some shorts and a T-shirt on the sideline against Cincinnati. But I want to see some reps, quite frankly, and I'm not trying to be negative. I want to see Anthony get hit and bounce right back up, lead the huddle, give the play call, and go right on to the next one. I want to see, nobody's hitting this cat right now. The last time he's had any sort of, a defender in his face, this Arizona joint practice coming up on Wednesday will be only, his second run. He's only going to get a series or 2 against Denver. So, lots coming up on this. And I say let's play the young man as much as possible, but you have to be safe as well. It's exciting, man, because, Chris did make some chicken salad out of chicken caca there. He did. He did have an off season, his off season, not the team's, to soak up that offense and get more comfortable in it. I hope, and I know Shane Steichen's not going to overload the young man with, hey, you got to look for this before you see this, before you go to that. No, just make it nice and simple with him in an RPO game. You've got one of the league's best running backs behind him and a quartet of receivers that's going to be fun to watch, including, don't count out Alec Pierce. Hey, this kid can throw the ball out of the window at Lucas Oil, and we did see last year Minshew underthrew Alec on a couple of over-the-tops. There'll be some big balls downfield this year. That's what I'm excited about.
There are big balls all over the place. Gorman's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline with Chris Hagan and JMV here. I'm not trying to throw cold water on anything. I just want to live in reality until I see it. And then I will also tell you this. I agree with you about wanting to see him get hit. And I don't care when it is, because at some point it's going to happen. And it kind of feels like, I know it's cool to say nowadays, hey, it's got these vibes, but I'm just not that cool, and I'm not going to say it. I think it sounds stupid. But it does remind me of Andrew Luck in that preseason game back then against Seattle, where you want to see this guy take a hit and get up and then do it consistently. Now, I am reminded what ultimately happened there with that quarterback, but I think you're both right about seeing that no matter where you see it. And, hell, I think earlier the better, Gorman.
Absolutely. Let's see it. I mean, they'll run them out there. Hopefully they score on the first two, series that they did, and get the kid out of there and let him go. Hey, it's going to be better. He's going to face more dare I say, he's going to face some action. They're going to let him go full on, but he's still going to have the red jerseys on against Arizona. And stuff gets salty in those joint practices, but I'm sure if somebody gets an open shot at him, they're going to try it there. But yeah, it's exciting. I hope he's had an off season to learn how to slide, how to go down properly, try not to get the extra yard or yard and a half, and save your body and stuff like that. That's all coming in with a second-year hopeful veteran quarterback like Anthony Richardson's sort of developing into.
I think Gorman just gave away a secret. Did you hear that? He said hopefully 2 scoring drives, and he's on the sideline. So 2 possessions, according to Gorman, for Anthony Richardson.
Hey, that's all we're looking for. That's all I'm saying.
Does he see 3 possessions if they go 3 and out in the first 2?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll see 3 possessions if they're rolling a little bit. I mean, personally, I don't know if they're going to say, hey, first series, 3rd and long, then they're punting. And then the next series, hey, 3rd and short, they didn't get it. I think that he has a chance to stick around for maybe another series there. But, Shane's not going to be silly on this thing. But it's just about getting through Cincinnati at this point because, there's not a huge amount of question marks on this roster to fill out that, the 53 plus this practice squad like we have in years past. I mean, it's a pretty veteran group with you got, almost all starters coming back from last year. So that's all I'm saying. I just want to get these guys oiled up a little bit, especially the quarterback, have some fun, and then go into that Texans game with a reckless abandon.
Yeah, and you talked about balls or something like that, too.
Big balls.
Really kind of odd to add in there, but that's okay. That's the Gorman. Sunday morning, 10 a.m., right 10 here, correct? John. The Colts pregame huddle?
Yep, bring it. And we got a new field down there. You'll see new field turf. You will definitely notice a difference. And also possibly some new banners or less banners flying at Lucas Oil Stadium. Irsay, I don't know if you heard it, but he sent one of those banners over to Big Cat and a guy named PFT Commenter from the Barstool Sports guys that gave him a bunch of crap through the years about hang the banner, hang the banner, hang the banner. So Irsay finally grabbed one down from Lucas Oil's rafters and sent it to him and said, you guys hang the banner. So that happened earlier today, and it's going to be – you'll see it if you haven't seen it already. It was a pretty good deal.
I think I did see it, too. Is there sadness that the AFC finalist banner's gone now? I guess not, huh?
I don't know if the owner hand delivers it or FedEx delivers it overnight to you. I guess he's fine without it.
You got it, buddy. We'll be there on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Gorman, ready to rock.
All right, Chris. Good luck with the ponies tonight. JMV. I'll see you Sunday.
You got it, buddy. That's the Gorman. Jeffrey Gorman again. 10 a.m. The Colts pregame huddle coming up on Sunday morning. We'll bring up Jim Irsay sending the finalist banner of the AFC from years ago that took so much criticism to those. What did he send them to those guys, though?
I'm sure they'd give him some crap on social media. Just like, hey, you know what? You want to talk smack here? You do something with it.
Hagen right there. I'm JMV. The Dan Patch is later on tonight. I know Rick Moore is hanging out. We'll talk to him about that coming up as well. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Danny, every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, we're right here for you. Right here for you, Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino at Anderson. The Dan Patch later on tonight. Rick Moore runs things. The general manager here is going to join us at about 4:15 today for that. ELO's rocking in the background. I'm John. Chris Hagan is here as well. I mentioned my piece regarding USA basketball and that near miss against Serbia yesterday. What were your thoughts?
You pointed out the kid missed the wide open three.
Wide ass open.
Serbia, that was 2.5 to go. Serbia's up 2.
Yeah.
That would have put them back up 5. So it stays a 2-point lead. That's when they go to the other end, and Curry gets the 3 that bounces around and goes in like he's at the state fair. I still got to go back to the 6-point possession. The lead goes from 11 to 5 in 1 second of game time. What was your take? Oh, by the way, Serbia had won each of the first 3 quarters. They won all 3 quarters. Then they get cooked by 17 in the fourth.
Yeah.
Jokic didn't make a 3 all day. He was 0 for 6. Bigger, almost as big as the fact that you got the 6 points in 1 second. That was also the 4th foul on Jokic.
Yeah.
So he can't foul. He can't play defense, what little defense he would play. So that to me changed the whole perspective. Now, what is the international rule? Because the foul happened, looked like a flop, but it was a foul before he shot the ball. Why do you count that 3 and then they still get
possession
the ball?
because it came after the release? That one?
No, it wasn't. The foul.
It wasn't. I thought.
No, he trucked him, and KD still hadn't even started his.
He pushed a player into a player that ran into.
No, Jokic trucked the guy. Kind of a flop, but still, Jokic he's trying to contest the shot through the screen.
Don't you love that rule though? I love FIBA rules.
That was unbelievable. And that when he made the second 3. When Booker makes the second 3, in the sports office, I said, ball game. That's it. You're not going to overcome that. But Serbia I don't think they made a 3 at all in the fourth quarter. They scored 15 points.
I just don't think it was because of the USA defense.
Not at all. They missed. That guy who missed that wide open 3, he was 3 of 4 from deep before that.
And he had all day long.
Well, as a shooter, don't you think sometimes that's worse than somebody guarding you or catching it in rhythm?
Yeah, I think when you miss it, you do.
Because he's sitting there, he stood there like he was shooting a free throw. He stood there and lined it up. But, I'm like you, though. I say U.S. by 45 over France. They'll
16
no
point
doubt.
spread.
Yeah, you got to go big on USA.
So Hagan right there. He's going to join us on the other side. Joe Reitz is going to be here as well from the Colts pregame huddle, the former Colts offensive lineman. Rick Moore still to come, the general manager of Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson with the Dan Patch on tap tonight. And Mike Wells, the bottom of the 4, the triumphant return of Don Fischer coming up after 5 as well. And 239-1070 is the number if you want to jump on here. Hour 2 straight ahead. Harris Hoosier Park in Anderson. Chris Hagan, JMV, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, thank you for joining us inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, where later on this month, Imagine Dragons will play. You can go VIP all the way. Matt and Matt have given you the opportunity to get up to 5 entries on their Facebook page. That is AAA Membership, their Facebook page, to log on if you're a member to get 5 opportunities to win VIP all the way at Ruoff for Imagine Dragons coming up later on this month. Now, you can still go there even if you're not a member. You get 1, but if you become a member, you get 5. And again, that is the AAA Facebook page. AAA, the sponsor inside the lounge via YouTube Live. Now, Cam, quickly, Ruoff tonight. Dark, correct? Nothing going on there?
I don't see anything, no. Creed's tomorrow. But
Oh, Creed's tomorrow?
Yeah.
Scott Stapp. Sing it, Hagen. Give me some Scott Stapp really quick.
No.
Come on now. Can you take me? You don't.
Can you take me?
Because you both are very southern sounding.
What's wrong with that?
I'm just curious. Creed tomorrow for you. So.
All right, we have trouble coming in here.
That should be outstanding for everybody. Hey, by the way, Belle Biv DeVoe coming up tonight. That's at the Indiana State Fair on the free stage.
Yeah, have a seat.
Check that out. That is, hey, how you doing? That is Chris Hagan of Fox 59. I'm JMV, the Gorman a little bit earlier. Of course, I mentioned on Sunday that first preseason game for the Colts at home against Denver. And our coverage begins right here at 10 a.m. with the Colts pregame huddle. And another part of that is going to be the former Colts offensive lineman, friend of the show, Joe Reitz, will be with us in Touchdown Town on Sunday. Joins us right now on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Joe. How are you?
John, how you doing? And with Chris Hagan, too, wow, what a great day for Indiana, although you got muddled, it sounds like, by Gorman earlier. That really puts a damper to your show. So I really like the spot I'm in. You follow him. I mean, there's literally nothing that could go wrong in this interview.
Reitz comes out oozing with sarcasm.
I love it. It is kind of like the Rolling Stones following.
Well, this has turned into like a roast of us. Gorman comes on and gives us grief. Now here comes Joe. I mean.
Oh, he's giving us props, not grief.
I don't think he was.
Those are props right there.
Yeah. I'll take you for your word.
He thinks Gorman dragged us down.
He did.
Right there.
He totally did.
Yeah. Hey, enthusiastic about the start. And listen, I know we're going to have a lot of topics to get to coming up on Sunday morning when we begin before that first preseason game. Where do you start?
It's exciting. 1, football's back. 2, we got a home game at Lucas Oil, and I know it's the preseason, and a lot of fans are, the starters, it sounds like from Coach, may play a couple series. But 1, it'll be great to see them back in action, especially our quarterback. But to me, it's really the next step, right? You have the off season, then you have training camp. Preseason makes it a little bit more real as a player, and especially for those young guys and rookies putting that helmet on in Lucas Oil for the first time. But, we're going to blink twice, and week 1's going to be here with Houston. And I just think, again, you know me, John. I've never claimed a must-win, have I?
You better start, brother.
but to me, doesn't that game seem like it has more magnitude than a normal opener? Just because of the way things ended last year, and Houston's a favorite in the division, and we get them right out of the gate at home. And, man, what a chance to really just take a quick hold in that and just such a huge game coming up there. But, I'm excited for the season. I really am. And, again, I think every team right now thinks they have an idea of what they're going to be, but until you really start playing for real, you never know. And that's the great thing about the NFL, right? A third of the teams are new in the playoffs each year because this league is set up for everybody to be 8-9 or 9-8. And I think the Colts definitely have a tougher schedule to start out. I mean, those first couple months are brutal, but if they can weather the storm, when you look at the back half of the Colts schedule, and I know a lot of people haven't got that far yet, and as a player, you never look more than day one, but now on the other side of the media you get to, I mean, the last 5 games for the Colts, Broncos, Patriots, Giants, and you're home against the Jags and Tennessee. And to me, especially as this team grows and as Richardson gets more game experience under his belt, and I mean, he'll be a lot better week 13 than he'll be week 1, right? But I really think this Colts team has a chance, if you can hang in there through the first 2-3 months of the season, if that makes sense, to really stack up a bunch of wins at the end of the season and make a run to hopefully, put this division title back in Lucas Oil where, it hasn't been hanging for a decade.
Well, Joe, thanks for not listening to the show because that's what I said earlier about how important Game 1 was. But, yeah, I echo those. You talk about you haven't, and by you I mean the Colts, haven't won the division since 2014, haven't won the season opener since 2013, haven't made the playoffs since 2020. So, yeah, I think a lot falls on that Week 1 game. But before we get to that, it's the preseason. I'm curious, as when you were a player, how do you balance wanting to get in the work, the reps, and get things done with also the importance of being healthy? Because we've seen players on both sides of the ball for the Colts get hurt, one out for the season. We've seen Rondale Moore, former Purdue star, now with the Falcons. He's out for the season. Injury suffered in a joint practice. I mean, what kind of fine line are you walking on when you're talking about preseason practices and games?
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I'm calling the game with Matt Taylor, which will be a lot of fun on Sunday. And, he told me, last week I got to make my keys to the game. The first one is get out of the game healthy. Regardless of how great your player slots, you get out healthy, that's always a win. But you want to go in and you want to be sharp because there's nothing like playing with the bright lights on. And as a player, our goal was always, hey, if we get on a great drive here and we score, and go down 8, 10, 12-play drive and score, we're probably done for the day, right? And so I think that's the goal for the starting offense and that's the goal for the starting defense. And, yeah, you mentioned we've had some injuries and Ebukam really hurts, but, how nice is that draft pick now when you're thinking, that we got, solidified their defensive end. But, so I think for the guys, you want to go out there, you want to get in work, and you want to do it against a different jersey. Those guys are tired of banging on each other right now. And to me, this next week is just a huge stretch for this Colts team, and especially for some of the younger guys, because you got preseason games sandwiched between 2 joint practices, and there's going to be a lot of game-type situations, NFL regular season game-type intensity when you think about the preseason and those joint practices next week.
Joe Reitz is going to be with us in the Colts pregame huddle, and then joins Matt Taylor, and should be a great broadcast as far as the radio network is concerned, coming up on Sunday, preseason game 1 against the Broncos. And Joe's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Do you gather the ineffectiveness and the question marks in that secondary? Because there's always got to be one thing. If the offense is humming along, then obviously the defense isn't playing well. And that secondary, last we checked in, was absolutely getting torched by Nico Collins. And you're still wondering about the safety position, youth at corner. Where is that as far as major concerns, even if we're just talking about a preseason game?
Yeah, I think that's a concern because I think, to me, that's our weakness, the defensive side and the secondary. But there's a lot of competition there, and I know there's some young guys, and they're a year older and a year with some experience. And so really for me, I know in the safety battle, looking to see who's going to step up, because one thing we do it in practice, it's another thing when you have it against somebody else in the preseason games and the joint practices. And I think for me, that secondary is so tied into the pass rush, right? It really is, and they work hand in hand together. And the Colts, and thankfully defensive line, I think, is our deepest position on the team, and with the injury to Ebukam. But, to me, if we can continue to get better, with, Kwity Paye and the Rook, and, you got Buckner inside and Stewart and Dio and Tyquan Lewis, don't forget about him. He's really been solid. That pass rush is going to be your younger and your more inexperienced team's best friend. And then also our offense. It's all tied together, right, in terms of us put points on the board and get leads. And so I'm interested to see how it all play out. Again, I know that we've just been practicing against ourselves, so you take that with a grain of salt, because then you watch, it's like, well, the offense had a great day. Well, does our defense stink? Or if the defense had a great day, then you're saying your offense stinks. So I'll be really glad that we can put on the pads and play against somebody else on Sunday and see how it all shakes out, because, over there, they're going to treat that, in my opinion, like a real serious game. I just think, with Peyton over there and their young quarterback and just knowing how he operates, some NFL coaches, I think, treat the preseason differently now than they did, 10 years ago when I played. But I'm guessing that Peyton is going to bring more of an old school mentality, and those guys will be ready, and it'll be fun to see the pads popping against somebody else.
Hey, Joe, I know on the offensive line, but for the team as a whole, how important is it to have the continuity and so many guys back, and guys that you've made road trips with and been in the room with and had meals with and lived life with?
Oh, for sure. And, that O-line is a veteran group. And, now that the fact that Smith's back and healthy and practicing, and, Ryman's growing up, and I thought he had a really good season last year, especially the last half. But they're going to lean on those guys that, the best teams I played on, the offensive line was the heartbeat of the team, and I expect them to really even build on the good season that they had last year. Offensively, I'm looking at tight end. I think there's so much guys in that room. There's talent in that room, but who's going to step up and take that lead role in terms of who our tight end is? Because that's the old adage in the NFL is, a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. And so who's going to be that nice, safety valve that we had there? And then again, on the wideout, right? How does AD look in his first game? And I'm excited to see him with just, some of the explosiveness that he's shown. And I think he's a rare talent. And I am awful glad we got to snatch him up in the second round because I know that Reggie Wayne's coaching him up hard and doing it in a good way.
Joe Reitz on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Where are you as far as excitement about the new kickoff rules? Are you anywhere?
Do you know the new kickoff rules? Because I don't really.
I know the new kickoff rules. It's definitely different watching it. I'm interested to see how the year plays out and see what it does. I think, sometimes change is unnecessary, but sometimes it can be good. So I look at that and I remember the days of being a wedge buster, right? My first year in Baltimore, my very first kickoff return, and I'm all excited running down and just got blown up, knocked to my, knees and a welcome to the NFL moment. So I guess for some of those young rookies, they won't have the same experience that I did.
So basically the kicker starts in the tunnel and the receiving guy is on the sideline and it has to land in a 5 foot square. That's how I understand it to be, Joe. Something like that.
That's pretty much, you nailed it exactly right.
It is going to be funny because not everybody keeps up with football 24/7 like we do, so they're going to tune in for that first Colts game and go, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people in the stands that are looking around and be like, what's going on right now? What are we doing? And then they'll check their
Is this
phones
pregame? Is this real?
It'll be good. Yeah.
I always go out there and ask some goofy questions to players, and that was a question I said, explain to me the new kickoff rules like I'm 5 years old. And there were a few players, I'm not going to name names, that said, I'm not really sure. I don't know how that's going to go. So I guess if you're a special teamer, you better have boned up on it and be ready to go come Sunday.
Yeah, the core four teamers, they'll be ready to go, and I'm sure they've been well drilled in it. But you're right, it's going to be a big change for a lot of casual football fans when they flip on the TV either Sunday or week one.
That's Joe Reitz in closing here. Did I hear you accurately? I think you and I both kind of go with the must-win very early, and this is not the first time I'm going to go with must-win in week number one. I mean, it's just kind of about attitude here is what you were talking about. But is that how you vision week number one when things get real against Houston in Lucas Oil Stadium? Because that's exactly what I'm talking about here.
No doubt. And, to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. And Houston's the reigning division champs. And, I actually think that they may take a bit of a slide back. I think some people are sleeping on Jacksonville. I mean, people forget they lost 5 of their last 6 games last year, but that was their division, right? After going to the playoffs the year before, they had it won and kind of slipped through their grasps. But, I just think the magnitude with how the season ended, and, you got to know that every Colts guy's got a burning fire inside of them to can't wait to get to play those guys again. And now we get to do it at home. Week one and really get the chance to get a really big leg up. I mean, that's huge, and that's obviously what you're building for, but that's why, this preseason is so important, and, the joint practices are to get all your work in and, again, above all, stay healthy, but get everything dialed up for week one. I know that we haven't won an opener since back when I played, and I was a part of, 4 of those losses in a row, so thanks for reminding me on that. But you got to think that just the law of averages, we're due, right? We're far overdue, and let's hope that it happens here and can really be a great spark, to the start of this 2024 Colts season.
Hey, Joe, this team is due for a lot of stuff. And individually, some people are due for a lot of stuff after so many years. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That's Joe Reitz, of course. Joe and Bill Brooks and I start things at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning with the Colts pregame huddle, and Gorman will be there about 10:05 and be ready to go as well. Joe and Matt will have you on the radio network. That pregame show will begin at noon for you. Again, coming up on Sunday, that first preseason matchup with Denver, 10 a.m. for us on the Colts pregame huddle. And Joe Reitz, the former offensive lineman of the Colts, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Have a fantastic weekend. It's good to have you back. Can't wait to see you. And, it kind of is right when we get back to Touchdown Town together.
It's right when we get back to
I can't wait. It's been too long. And, John, I know you'll be in regular season form, as will Bill and myself. But I'm expecting pure preseason form from Gorman, so I think it's going to be Bill, you and I are really going to have to carry the show. Nothing's new, but just a little forewarning, the vibe that I get. So
He seems more concerned always about me, like, ripping people's ass in the pregame show than anything else. You know? He's got that concern for me right there. I guess that's nice.
I wonder if he's going to have his black jeans and his black leather jacket on, already week one. That's a good season form for him.
All right, buddy. See you on Sunday.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks, Chris.
You got it.
See you, Joe.
Joe Reitz on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Rick Moore is the general manager here of Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino here in Anderson. The Dan Patch coming straight at you later on tonight. Our good friend Rick joins us now here inside Harris. How are things going? Better turn his mic on over there, Cam. There you go, buddy.
Try it again.
It's even better when you know what? That's okay because the backup plan you had right there sounded even become Great job.
It's good. We've had you here for a number of Dan Patches.
Yes.
Doing the show.
It's like a number of these in a row now.
Yeah, and it's become an annual thing. And speaking of annual, this is our 31st annual Dan Patch Stakes.
Wow.
Started in 1994. This is number 31.
What's the I ask this every year, I guess. I don't remember maybe all the details, but what obviously is behind the Dan Patch here?
Dan Patch is a famous horse, very famous horse, around the turn of the 1900s, 1900, 1905. Born in Oxford, Indiana, was one of the great, all-time great standard any breed horses. Was just a fabulous horse. Was so fast, was so good. They didn't race against other horses. Other horses wouldn't race against him. He raced against the clock. And he would go from town to town to town. There'd be 100,000 people waiting to see him, and they'd take him on a train. And he was born right here in Oxford, Indiana.
Huh.
So we named our signature race after Dan Patch. And we started out the first year. We had a purse of $40,000. Tonight they'll be going for $300,000.
That's incredible right there.
Now, what about we know the breeding and the descendants of a horse. Is there a family tree from the Dan Patch that went down and it was just as successful?
No, because he was a gelding, so
that adds to that.
Yeah.
So
hell of a question you had right there. Thanks. All right.
There was not, but he was one of the all-time great horses.
Those are like you hear stories like Paul Bunyan and you hear stories of lore, and so it's great that you have the event named where people learn the story because John and I were wondering, and now we know. So that's something that's cool about sports, regardless of the venue, horse racing included.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fascinating sport, and the very few horses go on to become stallions. Okay, only the best of the best, and because it's just you only need X amount of stallions. Okay, so most horses that go on and race to have a successful career, go on to do other things, become a pleasure horse, become a workhorse, they become a dressage horse, a lot of other different occupations after they're finished racing.
I'll be honest with you, I occasionally reference myself as a stallion.
Well, see, like I said, there's very few. only the best of the best, John.
You're saying I'm more of a workhorse?
You're more of a gelding, John, is what he meant to say there.
It's Rick Moore of Harris here with us. There are a lot of support activities going on here as well, right, Rick?
We got everything going on. Right behind us, we got the sports book, okay? So that's going to take place all afternoon, all evening. Outside, we got our trackside grill going. We've got Cook and Bell here playing outside this evening. We got food trucks. We got giveaways. We got a steakhouse. We got our clubhouse. We got the casino.
Yes,
the casino in addition. So,
which, by the way, our friend right here lives in that casino.
It's a very nice casino. It's a nice place to call home.
Yeah, the renovation. I don't know when it was completed, but I saw different stages of the renovation of the casino floor, and it's first class now down there.
It's really transformed into what you call a casino floor now. It was a beautiful done job. Really, really good.
Do you see a lot of crossover folks here come and play the horses, then make their way there? They start maybe this time of day they're over there throwing dice, and then they make their way over here for post time.
You do get, Chris. You do get people going both ways. You really do, and even from the sports book to betting on the horses. People like to make bets on different type of activities.
It's awesome too because. To have a place like this in Indiana, 10, 15 years ago, you're having to go to Las Vegas to get this kind of service down in there. And then, oh, by the way, throw in this track here. This is really one-stop shopping in every which way.
Everything you can imagine. It's, it's an adult playground, right? It really is. Anything you want to do, you can do right here.
And the bars, I know they did some renovation on the bars here and in the casino.
Yep.
It's just great stuff. And then you tell people, it's a little bit of a drive for a lot of John's listeners are there in Indianapolis, but you can get here, you hop on 69, next thing you know, you're having fun.
I live down in Hamilton County. It's 20, 25.
Oh, it's only a drive for me, really, to be honest with you. So, and that's quite all right because it's got plenty of time.
And I
to
was,
get up
I was
here,
actually
too.
down on the south side of Indianapolis today.
Were you really?
What
were we doing down there?
Well,
did you get caught by any traffic or anything like that?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of traffic down there.
I came up. It was like the first time in a long time I came smooth sailing, and I even utilized 465, which I haven't done in a long time, though.
That's nice when 465 is moving.
Oh, it is. It is very nice. It's Rick Moore with us of Harrah's. You got the support races, other things going on as well. What time does stuff really start to ramp up here, Rick?
First race is 6:15. We've got 15 races. We're going to go till about 11:30 this evening. So you got all evening to come and get here. The big race, the Dan Patch, goes off at 10:46. So it's a big night, long night, and you come whenever and take in part of it.
Oh man,
Rick, can you explain to people that maybe haven't really ever got into horse racing, just that rush when you feel the whole crowd once they come down, when they're coming down to the wire, and just everybody's got a different horse, everybody's got a different emotion. I mean, you can't make that up in any kind of sports.
No, you really can't. And whether you're betting, $2, $10, $20, if your horse is in contention and he's coming down that stretch, there is no feeling like it. I mean, your heart starts pumping. I mean, everyone wants to win, right? That's
my motto.
Whatever we do, we all want to win. And we bet on a horse, we want to win. And the feeling when that horse goes across the finish line first or just wins by a nose, it's an incredible rush.
When you have that feeling when it's like a photo, like, I think he won. I'm not sure, and you're waiting for that, and they're looking at the photo. I watched the Kentucky Derby here. I mean, that you can't replicate that.
That was unbelievable. Over a mile and a quarter and came down to about 2 inches. It's hard to believe. It is hard to replicate. But those horses know what's going on, and they're doing their all to get there first. They know when they win.
Kind of like John. He knows when he loses.
I know it, too. I know what it feels like to be a winner. Rick Moore is with us. Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks
this
for
is
being
a
here.
number of years consecutively for us, too.
We're going to keep it up. We're going to keep it on.
Asking.
We're going to keep it on. We'll make sure that you're here next year, too.
And congratulations on everything here, because it does look fabulous.
The place does look good, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah.
So Rick Moore for the Dan Patch and more. Rick, thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Chris.
Rick Moore with Harrah's right here. Tony Wren's going to join us a little bit later on. Mike Wells, bottom of the hour, voice of the Hoosiers, back. Don Fischer coming up at 5. Quick break. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
General direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Belle Biv DeVoe's on the main stage tonight. A free concert at the Indiana State Fair.
You go down there.
Mike Wells with his slow jam re-entry from ESPN Radios on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Let's see if he can bust in.
When you get mine.
Oh, my God.
Tell me how you cry.
Somebody help him.
Like, people are looking here. This is great.
I feel when
they think the fire alarm's going off.
Me, let you down.
Here it is.
Girl, need that I apologize.
You need to apologize for that singing.
Hey, Wells, you hear Hagen's here to give you grief about that singing?
Hey, listen, Hagen only shows up when there's free alcohol and free food. You're at Hoosier Park, so of course he's going to be there.
That's true.
At least, when was the last time you showed up somewhere, Professor Wells?
Hey, he came 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Well, like I said, when was the last time besides 2 weeks ago? Hey, Wells, you've been traveling all over the place, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm in Philadelphia right now at a conference. In Chicago last week. I'm currently probably making the people in the room next to me cringe with my singing in Philadelphia. Kind of bouncing around a little bit, enjoying life. I'm not the Hagen life, but yeah, I showed up 2 weeks ago. I was in Broad Ripple for the first time in like 15 years. I was telling JMV about how I used to do it up big at 7 when Jermaine O'Neal had it, and I like to look at how Broad Ripple's looking these days. And we couldn't find you. I was like, "Where's my favorite 3'1" ginger?" And you weren't even in the building.
Now, well, he said he was going to show up earlier in the week.
I lose 6 inches every time Wells describes me. I thought you got out of the business so you could be a family man and not be traveling all the time, and that's all you're doing.
Well, last week was a conference. This week is a conference. It's I'm doing it up with all kind of conferences. I'm with educators, so a bunch of PhD people who are clearly way smarter than me at this conference.
I was about to say, do you feel dumb? Do you feel dumb when you get around them? 'Cause I feel dumb when I get around smart people.
Yeah, they are very smart. I got to say, my personality wins out. They research, and I just enjoy life.
Wells just starts making fun of everybody's clothes, and then he's in.
Man.
You are missing Belle Biv DeVoe tonight for free at the Indiana State Fair. You realize that, right?
I know. I'm PO'd about that, man. I was hoping to get on stage. I was going to do the Running Man. I had my overall set up with some spray paint on them, with some Tim boots. I was ready to go. Hagen, you going tonight?
No, I'm not going.
You don't.
I
work
wasn't
on Friday,
invited.
so why the hell aren't you going? You don't even work on Friday.
I wasn't invited.
No, he's staying here. This is like his normal Friday destination, I think, is Harris Hoosier Park.
I'll be over there rolling them bones, Wellesley.
Man, hey, John, you going tonight?
I probably won't. So yeah, because I'm not done. I'm not done until 7, and I think the fellas hit the stage around 7:30. So,
see, that's what happens. I go out of town now. If I were in town, Hagen still wouldn't go. He'd be in the casino, on playing slots.
I would go.
You and I would be hanging out backstage with the fellas, talking hoops with Michael Bivens, trying to get his thoughts on Jason Tatum sitting side by side of Tyrese Halliburton on the bench on Team USA.
He wasn't happy about it. He wasn't happy about that. Like Halliburton was showing like, hey, which we know he's not okay with it, but he's showing that he's okay with it. And Tatum was wearing how he felt right there on his face. Was he not on the bench?
No, and that's the crazy thing. I mean, I give Tyrese Halliburton props because even if the competitor in him wants to be on the basketball court, but he's up there. He is the primetime hype man. He's the Michael Bivens of Team USA. He's the hype guy on the sideline when LeBron or Steph says something good, or when they call a timeout, they're high-fiving everybody. Tatum, he's sitting on the bench looking like somebody took the last chicken wing at the cookout. That's what Tatum looks like.
For Halliburton, obviously it's a tremendous honor just to be on the Olympic team, but obviously humbling as well that you're not getting the burn that maybe you would expect or want. But do you think it's on some level this will be some fuel to his fire when he comes back realizing he's among the elite, considered an Olympian, but not quite to that upper echelon just yet?
Listen, this is a great learning experience for Tyrese Halliburton. Yes, he's an all-star player, but for so long, I think the three of us have mentioned on this show on Fridays, and I'm sure John throughout the week, about when Halliburton has that habit of being that too cool for school mindset on the defensive end of the court. Yes, he can do whatever he wants offensively, but on the other end, he takes too many trips off defensively, and that's where Derek White excels at. And obviously it was the starters and Kevin Durant show yesterday in that comeback against Serbia, but those guys get after it on both ends of the court, and I think this is definitely going to be a learning lesson. And from the standpoint of what Halliburton has to do to get better and being around, those future Hall of Famers, it should help his maturity and speed up his growth process, which is already moving along quickly.
Mike, I said this earlier. I think that if you're a Pacers fan, you're selfish in thinking, all right, well, he didn't run too much tread off the tire this summer like you thought he was going to. He sat most of the time. And then obviously he already knew this, but it is absolute clear cut now that you have to have a level of improvement defensively because he hadn't gotten any clock. So really selfishly for Pacer fans, that's a good thing. And I think you look at yesterday, Mike, and if he's not going to get in when they're dragging ass offensively for the time period that they did and really didn't make a lot of strides defensively at that time, if you're not going to get any clock in those types of minutes, then you're not going to get up off the bench.
No, you're not. And think about this. If anybody who watched the game yesterday, start to finish, when Steph Curry went out the game, or Durant wasn't in the game, Serbia played zone. They were daring Team USA to shoot from the perimeter. From a coaching standpoint, that was a hell of a coach game by Serbia. When Steph was in the game and Devin Booker, they played straight up man to man. But when those guys were not in the game, Serbia said, all right, we're just going to play zone and dare you to shoot from the perimeter. That's where you need guys that can knock down outside shots. And that's part of the reason why Serbia was able to, get up by as many as 19 points in the game.
What did you make of the 6-point possession in 1 second?
Which one was that? Which segment was that? Refresh my memory.
That's when KD made a three, and there was a foul on Jokic. So then they gave US the three and the ball, and they threw in a quick inbounds, and Booker hit another three. So they scored six.
Booker hit that streak straight away. That was
they hit
shot, man. Completely. I mean, they pushed Embiid Joker pushed Embiid all into Durant's kneecap. I mean, that could have been set up for an injury. But, yeah, you got that three, and then Booker hits it from straight away. That was a hell of a game. And, people keep saying the USA should be blown out the rest of the world. The fact is the rest of the world has NBA players, and the rest of the world, they're not scared of Team USA the way they were in 1992, 1996, and things like that. They have – while they respect Team USA, they don't fear them in the same aspect they did 30-plus years ago.
I saw a stat, and it said how many when they had the first Dream Team, and it showed how many NBA players that they had talking about the Magic, MJ, and Bird, how many NBA players the rest of the world had, and it was like 4 or something, and then how many NBA players they're playing against now. And it's just like you said, the rest of the world has developed talent, and now they have players that can play at the highest level.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, tomorrow is going to be basically you talk about a legit road game tomorrow for Team USA. Playing, the host country, Paris. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be Joel Embiid's going to be out there, doing the little, gesturing like he's humping somebody out there at the French crowd every time he gets a bucket. And as good as Joel Embiid was offensively yesterday, can that guy box out and get a damn rebound? I mean, he's truly got that old man game. John, he looks like he should be playing with you guys at Southport High School, man, on Sunday morning. That's
he's
how
not much of
moving
a
on the
floor runner right there, is he? He's just kind of a stand around. He just, I don't know because he always is, but he always looks like he's like trying to make up for an injury he has. I guess that's just him in general, right? He just always looks injured to me.
He's that guy that when he shows up, he's in the corner lacing up the sneakers and lathering himself in Ben Gay, and nobody wants to get by him because he's got that Ben Gay stench on his body.
No doubt about that. I don't think tomorrow's going to be close. It may for a little bit, but I think if there was, and obviously would have to be, if there was any sort of wake-up call, any alarm sounded, that happened yesterday, right? This is not going to be close against France as an end result in the game for gold tomorrow.
No, I think USA they punch, they go ahead and punch whatchamacallit, France in the mouth from the get-go.
It's called France, Wells. It's a country.
Yeah. I'm over here multitasking right now. They hit France in the mouth at the get-go, and it's over. They knocked the wind out of any possibility of upset in the first quarter. So I'm in the mode that it's a blowout. Yet another gold for Team USA.
That line now 16.5 USA. Interestingly enough, in the bronze game, Serbia a 2.5-point favorite over Germany. So that should be, by what they're saying, that should be a much more competitive, good game to watch.
But you'll be watching it, right, Hagan? Or are you going to be sleep still at tomorrow when the game?
You know what? What's great about my sleep schedule and work schedule is I've been seeing all this stuff live, and then I tweet about it, and people get mad that I spoiled it because they were going to watch it at night, and I'm like, who in this day and age thinks they can avoid knowing something and watch it on 4 or 5 hour tape delay?
Nobody says that can stay away from social media long enough.
Yeah, that's impossible.
So are we getting Team USA and France in both the men and women? I don't know. What's France going on with Belgium right now? I think too, right? Is that
France and Belgium are underway, are still playing right now, and France is winning. So that's what we should have the same.
Yeah.
The double dip, like in high school days when the JV team and then the varsity team would play the same squads.
Hey, the fact that we've got I love the JMV Sucks shirt on Jess right there. That's outstanding. All right, Mike, we got a little bit of preseason action to talk about next time you're on as well. How about that with the Colts and Broncos on Sunday?
Man, finally, man. I'm tired. And, I got to say, I got to give Matt Conti and the Colts PR staff a shout-out. They allowed some students of mine to come over to training camp on Monday. Of course, I did not see CBS 4 in the at training camp. I don't know where Hagan or Willis were at.
We are there every day, Wells. What are you talking about?
Hey, I know I'm almost 50 years old, but I did not see your ass. Where were you at?
Hey, listen, if they weren't, Rick Carlisle would yell at him.
Rick Carlisle would get mad at me and ask me who I am.
I didn't see you, Whitlick, or Alexa Ross. Where were you guys?
It was. See, this is you're showing your bias because you don't know our whole lineup. Adam Unger was there.
Yeah, I don't know him. I'm not gonna lie. No offense to Adam. If you're listening to the show, hey,
clip that for me, please. I got to play that for Adam in the office.
Hey, you must be a great guy, Adam. Well, you and I have yet to meet. I got to say, John, all I know is Dave Calabro was there. He was there. He was the only sports director in town at training camp practice on Monday, and he should be having one foot out the door in the retirement. But no, he was there.
I have no doubt.
When it was like 500 degrees outside, and there was Calabro, hair in place, and no Hagan out there.
Yeah, but that was part of his 45-minute workday, as all Wells.
Well, he should be half-assing it like nobody's business now, man. There's no doubt about that. All right, hey, safe travels getting back here, and we'll tee it up for you again on Friday and see what we're talking about after this preseason first game, okay?
All right, fellas, y'all be good.
It's Mike Wells of ESPN Radio on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Take a break, come back, Hagan. Anything on your mind you want to talk about?
I got to peruse this Dan Patch program here.
How about that?
Pick me out a couple of winners.
Litzy and Jess in the house over there, too, with the JMV Sucks T-shirt on, which is outstanding. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Quick break, we'll come back. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, makes his triumphant return coming up at 5 o'clock. You will not want to miss that. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Goes on. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm John, and I'm in Anderson today. Harris Fischer Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. I think these Olympics have been incredibly enjoyable. You know, sometimes you get a bit of a fall off on level of interest over a 2-week span of the Olympics. So I think we've hung strong. And next up in 4 years, L.A. I was bummed, and I know that they won a bronze today. That hell, I don't think they were in it last time, were they? I think the last time that the men's volleyball team, I could be wrong about this, I think I'm accurate. Last time they participated was 2016. But I kind of look back, I got into volleyball. I don't have a daughter that plays volleyball or a son because I know now that's going to become an IHSAA sport, volleyball. And I really haven't watched too much or had a great deal of interest. But, man, I kind of am jealous of all of you dads and moms out there that have kids that are affiliated with volleyball because it's been fun as hell to watch. And there's a huge difference. I mean, certainly the power level of volleyball plays a significant role in both, but more for the men. I mean, you don't get a lot of long rallies or anything like that with the men. But I was bummed that they were right there and had an injured and a scuffling team in Poland that was really looked on the ropes and kind of let them off. Ultimately, today, Team USA won the bronze in volleyball, but I've had a great deal of fun watching that, and really the entirety of the Olympics have really not let up. Cole Hawker's moment notwithstanding, there's nothing better for us than that, but it's been fun as hell, and the hammer, the accelerator has been down, I think, the entire time as far as the interest goes with the Olympics in Paris. And again, next up, back to Los Angeles, California in 4 years. We're back here on the other side, and speaking of back, voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. His thoughts on what he has seen the early stages of the Curt Cignetti era down in Bloomington. That and more. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. He joins, Chris Hagan rejoins Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. The Dan Patch is on the way later on tonight up here, too. It is going to get packed. We would love to see you here with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't know what the hell's in there. It's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This show today is live at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to Greg Rakestraw yesterday, who stood in for me at the Indiana State Fair. Dan Patch is here tonight. It's going to get crowded here momentarily. Chris Hagan has been with us. I think Chris Hagan has gone to gamble. Has he gone to the casino? That's probably it. See if he rejoins coming up in a bit. Tony Renz is going to join us bottom of the hour here. Mike Wells of ESPN Radio a little bit earlier. Former Colts offensive lineman Joe Reitz. Colts pregame huddle with me, Joe Reitz, the Gorman, and Bill Brooks. That is coming up. Hi, Jess. How you doing? That is coming up on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Of course, preseason game 1 with the Broncos and the Colts start thereafter, so make sure you're along with us, and that's coming up on Sunday. Joe a little bit earlier as well, and the Gorman was a part of his show. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, I am so excited that he is back. We got a lot to talk about because we've missed him so. Chris Hagan rejoins because the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, is back in the 5 o'clock hour on this show every Friday on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Good afternoon, Don. It's great to have you back.
John, good to be back. How you doing?
Man, I've missed you. What have you been up to? A lot of golf, some art table? What's been happening?
We've been both of those things have been going on. We've gone to our table quite a bit this summer. We've also I played a ton of golf, as you would expect.
Yeah,
most of it not good, but nevertheless, it's playing golf. And so yeah, I've had a good time with it, and I've had a great summer. I really have.
Don, I don't know if you've done this. I bet you would like to, and I'm going to do it the first week in December when the Colts are on the bye week. I'm going to go see the Eagles at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Is that on your agenda for the upcoming weeks and months?
It is not, but I wish I was going with you because I love the Eagles, as you probably know. They, of course, are my favorite band from years gone by. They top even the Beach Boys and the Beatles, who in my high school days were fun to listen to, but no, that is such a – I'm telling you now, Vince Gill has been phenomenal as a replacement for Glenn Frey. And I went to their concert here in Indianapolis here, but what is it, 3-4 months ago, whatever it was. And actually it was longer than that because I told my brother about it. And my brother lives in Salt Lake City, and he flew to Los Angeles to see him out there after I told him about it. So,
well, Fish, listen, now I don't know –
the Eagles.
I don't know what the schedule will be like for Hoosier football and basketball, but you got to get out there sometime to see I saw you too at the Sphere during Super Bowl week. I can only imagine how cool it will be to see the Eagles. And I've never seen them in concert. Loved them forever. So, and this is no lie, based on your testimonial about the best concerts you've seen, that made me say for my bye week getaway, I'm going to go see the Eagles. I love Vegas, obviously, but I want to see the Eagles at the Sphere. And if you don't make it happen, you're going to be very jealous. And while we're talking about big ideas, John,
yes,
I would like for much. You know how William Shatner did his spoken word lyrics? I would love for Fish to put together a spoken word of the greatest hits of the Eagles.
I would love that.
That would be the best thing.
What song would you do that for, Don? I'm all in for that. What song would it be?
Well, probably as much as and I like just about everything they do. And you're putting me on the spot here because I'm an old man.
Hey, I got it. Can you do Tequila Sunrise for us really quick in the spoken word?
No.
Oh, damn it.
I wanted him to do a little Hotel California on a dark desert highway. Cool wind in my hair.
Man.
The Eagles, to me, just everything that they do is just absolutely terrific. And that concert I saw here a few months back at Gamebridge was absolutely the best I've ever heard of them. I mean, they were tremendous when I saw them earlier. And I saw them, maybe back in 2016, 13, 14, someplace in there. Susie and I went to that concert, and I went to but this one just blew me away. This last one that they did.
So that you saw You saw him with Glenn Fry, though. You saw them before with Glenn Fry, and now you're saying Vince Gill can carry the torch.
He can. There's no question he carries the torch. There's no doubt about that. And I've said to other people the same thing, that I think he just added something that was even more significant. And I'm not saying Glenn Fry wasn't tremendous, because he was, but I just liked what I saw from Vince Gill, and I think Glenn Fry's son now is with that group too, and plays with that group. And it just, that concert was so fantastic, I can't tell you. And here's the other thing. Don Henley, after their very first song that night, in this most recent concert that I saw, Henley said in Gamebridge Fieldhouse, "I just want this Indianapolis audience to know," and he says, "I don't say this anyplace else." He said, "The acoustics in this building are the best that we play in this size building any place in the country."
Wow.
How about that?
Well, that's good, because it didn't used to be back then.
No,
And
I know.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. That's great to hear.
Yeah. So at any rate, they're
all right, Don. Thanks for the time. We enjoyed it.
Well, I was gonna ask this. You think Vince Gill in pure Prairie League in the mid-'70s thought, one of these days I'll be in the Eagles?
No, they said one of these nights.
One of these nights, yes. One of these nights I'll be a member of Eagles. So yeah.
And
he's a talented vocalist, though.
You asked me what my favorite song the Eagles do. It is "One of These Nights."
That's mine.
Yes.
Are you serious? That has some of the best lyrics, Don, of all time.
Serious as a judge.
Wow. Yeah, I love that song. I've heard some live versions of that, too, that are really good.
So, voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer back. Hey, Don, speaking of serious, the first-year head coach, Curt Cignetti, down in Bloomington, brings a serious attitude, does he not, to that football program?
There's no doubt. I've been around this guy a ton already. I have watched his practices since they got. I saw 10 of their spring practices out of their 13 that they had, and I've seen 5 of their practices so far here of the first 7 or 8 that they've had. I'm just telling you, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. He has got a system. He believes in that system. He believes that his players are going to buy into the culture that he is building in Indiana. His transfer portal included 12 or 13 players from JMU, where he came from. He got a bunch of other guys out of the transfer portal that look like they have been playing a lot of football at other places as either starters or top-line reserves. And in the practices that I've watched, the time that they spend, and it's not an inordinate amount of time, because he believes more is less, and he really believes that, and he doesn't overburden his players with more practices than they should have, or more time on the field than they should have, and he gets his coaches out of there at night, probably in the 8 o'clock range, where a lot of coaches go midnight and later on a daily basis during practice sessions like this that they're in now. He is just so organized, guys, that I'm telling you, I believe this guy's going to win in Indiana like nobody we've seen since Bill Mallard.
Wow. We've had him in studio, and I've heard him talk a couple times, and he does ignite, something in you, and that that'll permeate the program. I'm just curious, in this day and age, when you bring in so many new faces through the portal, can you see that team chemistry somehow being brought together? Is that something that players are used to it nowadays, where you can go from here to there, and maybe you don't have in the old days where you're like, hey, our freshman class, we came in here together and now we're seniors. Is that something that they can just deal with as it comes, and the team becomes a team no matter what?
I think that's what you have to adjust to as a coach these days, and I think that's what players have to adjust to. I don't think there's any question about it. And he brings a culture that is just unique. I mean, his players believe in him. Why would 13 players from JMU come to Indiana University for their final or their next to last or final year of college football? And granted, JMU's not Indiana or Big Ten, but you wouldn't get those guys, and he wouldn't bring those guys if he didn't think they could play. And they have helped change the culture already of how they go about their business in these practice sessions. You can feel it. It's just different than what we've seen here in a long, long time. And I'm convinced that this guy knows what he's doing, has an idea of how to get it done. And granted, it's going to take players. You got to have the horses, as everybody knows. But I thought his job in recruiting guys out of the transfer portal and bringing guys in was sensational. I think they got 29 transfer portal players out of the group of 40-some players that they brought in, with freshmen included. I just think he's going to get it done. The depth that they have at wide receiver and at running back is sensational. It's not been that way for a long time now, and they can absorb some injuries there. The question mark will always be, is the offensive line significantly better? I can't tell you that because they're not playing against anybody yet, but I do think it's going to be better. I think Bob Bostad, who he did, was the only guy that they held over from the other coaching staff. He is the one guy that really kind of transformed Indiana's offensive line a year ago. And granted, it wasn't superstar status, but it was much better than what we'd seen previously in the last 3 or 4 years. So his staff, he brought 6 of his coaches with him from JMU. They hit the ground running. They've done a phenomenal job here of getting the season underway with the spring game or the spring practices and now the fall practice sessions. I've watched a lot of them, and guys, I wouldn't be going down to practice if I didn't think this team had a chance.
So Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, talking about Curt Cignetti, the new head coach, first-year head coach of the Hoosiers. Don's with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, and you mentioned guys that he brought back, one of those being, and especially the position you say has a great deal of depth at wide receiver, is Donovan McCulley. I think what stands out to me is Donovan's incredibly talented. I'm going to get him on the show next week, and I can't wait to talk to him. But it seems like that the new head coach has issued a significant challenge to raise his game far beyond what we have seen yet. Did he not?
There's no question about that. I've watched him in practice. I saw him in the spring, and he was challenging Donovan. There's no question. He wants this guy to reach his potential this season because this is his final year of college eligibility. And Donovan is capable of being as good as anybody in the country at his position if he sets his mind to it. And granted, he's getting coached hard right now. And I think it'll be interesting to see how he responds to all of that. But they do have a deep bunch of receivers on this program that we just haven't seen that number before. And a lot of these guys came in out of the transfer portal. A lot of them look like they look a lot alike, especially the running backs. I mean, you take one in and you put one in after the guy leaves the field, and it looks like it's the same guy out there in the field. I mean, they look so much alike. And these guys have been through the wars, most of them. And I'm excited about what I see in that regard. I do think that the quarterbacks are – Traven Jackson's gotten a lot better. Whether he's ready to be a starter or not, I don't know, because Curtis Rourke, who they brought in from Ohio University, is a very talented kid, and he is 6'5". He's got the tools. He's got a good arm, very accurate arm. Taven in the spring game looked great. He did throw a pick at the end of his session out there in the spring game that probably knocked him back a little bit, but he has made strides. There's no question about that. And then they've got some talented freshmen, too, and Tyler Cherry from Center Grove, along with a kid named Mendoza from Florida. Both those guys are freshmen. They both look good. So from an offensive standpoint right now, and I think the offensive line is better than it was a year ago. I just think this team's got a chance to be really good offensively. The question mark will be on defense, where they still aren't as deep as you are on the offensive side of the football.
Fish, I know the coaching staff and the program, they'll take it one game at a time, but I like to look big picture. I like the idea, 3 of those first 4 games at home, maybe you get off to a nice 3-1, 4-0 start. But you will be part of history. You've already done so much. You realize, don't you, that the first Big Ten game that UCLA, USC, Oregon, or Washington will play will be when IU visits UCLA September 14th. Historic as we bring the coast-to-coast together of the new-look Big Ten. And, Don, you will be there for it.
I am looking forward to it. I've always said I wanted to go to the Rose Bowl at some time, and I'm going to get my chance this fall. So I am looking forward to that. There's no question about it. And I know the football team will be looking forward to it, too, because it'll be the third game of the season. Hopefully they'll win those first two over Florida International and Western Illinois. And that first game in the Big Ten play this year for Indiana is going to be special, not only for the conference, but for Indiana fans as well, because obviously Indiana has been to the Rose Bowl since 1968.
Well, it'll be cool, Fish, because a lot of eyes from across the country will be on that. A chance to showcase the program and the new look and the Coach Sig, and that'll be a chance to have a lot of eyes on that. And just what do you think about, you know what it's like to travel with teams and go from here to there, but put your feet in the shoes of student athletes, and now, you know, not just football, but you'll be looking at trips way out west on a regular basis moving forward.
Yeah, that's true, and that may drive me out of being a broadcaster. I don't know, but we'll see.
Fish,
but because there are going to be some long trips there. There's just no doubt about that. But you know what? The first couple of years, you got to embrace it, and we'll see how it all goes. But I am looking forward to it. This first year is going to be special. I think from that standpoint. Everybody's wondering what the travel will be like and how players and coaches and broadcasters adapt to the same thing. But it's going to be interesting to say the least, and to be a part of that's going to be special.
Donnie going to be excited about maybe a Tuesday night game in Eugene, Oregon?
Well, you know, I won't be nearly as excited about that as I am about the first football game.
Yeah, that part is going to be interesting. But I mean, the additions you have with those Pac-12 schools, I don't know. It's just where we are right now, and I know we all love it. I know all three of us love it the way that it was, but it does add some spice to everything, does it not, going into this year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's new. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody handles it, how other teams handle it. You know, how will Indiana handle it? How many times we don't have a Big Ten schedule yet, so we don't know how many trips we'll be making out west, how many trips will be made from out west to here. It's all going to be new, and it's all changing. The old boys like myself think about, you know, do I really want to do this? Do I really like this? I think you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, you're not going to be involved. So obviously I'm going to try and adapt. I don't know if it's going to happen for sure, but I'm going to try.
Well, Fish, I mean, you've seen so many different decades and coaches and things move through. So it is good to hear the excitement in your voice about this football season, because I know you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, I mean, refresh our memory now. What season of football will this be for you?
This will be number 52.
Oh, my God. That is, I mean, and the funny thing is like you sound the same. You're as sharp as you've ever been. I know you feel incredibly blessed for that, to be doing, you know, I like to say John and I have never worked a day in our lives. I'm sure you kind of feel that way too. So just to hear the enthusiasm in your voice is just tremendous, and I'm excited for you.
Well, I'm excited about the football season. I'm excited about Curt Cignetti, and I hope our fan base shows their support as well, because Indiana football has suffered long and hard, as everybody knows. Granted, we had a couple of nice seasons under Tom Allen. There's no doubt that those 2 years that they were successful there were special. But I'm thinking, and I do believe this, I think Curt Cignetti at age 62 will be this is the one spot that he should be in and give a chance, because he's never had a losing season any place he's been. But the knock on him is, well, he hadn't been in Division I football at this level. We'll see, because I think he's going to get it done. And that's why I'm excited, because I just think this man really knows what he's doing out there. And as confident as he is, and everybody knows he exudes that confidence with the things that he says, it's not an arrogant type thing. It is simply a guy that believes in his system and what he does, and that has got me believing as well.
To Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, his return on this show in the 5 o'clock hour via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline joins us now. I had Ted Kitchell on earlier this week, and his golf outing is coming up at Valley Vista on August the 26th. That is on a Monday, swinging for Parkinson's. And you brought up golf a little bit earlier, and I want just to remind people of that event, which is so important. And, you know, I talk to Ted a couple of times a year, and certainly before this golfing event, and you want to get people active with one of the great former Hoosiers certainly we have known in basketball with Ted Kitchell, Don.
Yeah, there's no question. And the event that he holds every year has become a special event in this city as well. In Greenwood, Greenwood people take part. Obviously, they hold it down at Valley Vista, and there's always a lot of celebrities involved in this thing. A lot of former IU basketball players participate. So it's a great event. I hope everybody shows up for that as well. And nobody, I mean, I got to tell you, Ted Kitchell has fought Parkinson's now for many years now. Yeah. He has battled it. He has done a tremendous job of being a person that's out there in front. Everybody knows what his situation is in that regard. And I really admire Ted and all he's gone through under these circumstances and how he's handled it. And obviously now he's an ambassador for that golf outing and for the Parkinson's disease programs themselves. So, you know, I wish him nothing but the best in that regard, and it couldn't be a better person involved in that either.
Yeah, it's always great to get the word out, and that's what's so amazing about, you know, people in Central Indiana. There's so many people in the world of sports, be it broadcasters or athletes or former athletes. They're always looking to give back, and that's just another great example.
Well, you know what? And there's guys like Ted that have gone through some tough times and things like that, and they start their foundations or they start their programs to help whatever issue that they're dealing with. And that tells you all you need to know about people in sports and athletics and so on, because I just think the people involved in sports and what they do and how they handle things, the tough times that they deal with, those kind of things, I think it just shows you those people are, I don't want to say that they're just role models, but they handle themselves like role models for sure. And there's no doubt that Ted Kitchell's one of those.
Yeah, once again, it's the annual Ted Kitchell Golf Outing, Valley Vista Golf Club, Monday, August the 26th. Swinging for Parkinson's at gmail.com. If you want to get a message, and I know my man Mark Sion from Big Green Egg is going to donate a Big Green Egg package to them as well. It's it's something every year we certainly want to get Ted on and talk about. We did that earlier this week, and because we had you on and the IU connection, I thought it'd be good to discuss that a little bit with you. Don Fischer is with us. Before I let you go, have you memorized all the new names on this football roster for IU yet?
No, that's one of the things that's why I go to practice now, John, because I got to get a leg up on the number of players that are new to this program. And there are, in total, now this includes walk-ons, there are 56 new faces on this football roster. Think about it. So that tells you something. But there are a lot of the old faces there as well, but not as many as we used to see. And that's why I say Signetti has really revamped this entire roster, and it's going to be interesting to see how they fare, because some of the guys that are coming in have been players before, but I just think that they're going to be successful this very first year under this guy, because I think his system is that good.
You know, it's funny, Don. I'm an Indiana State guy, and those that do the games over there, I think everybody went in the transfer portal in every sport. Did you notice that at all? Like every sport, I think everybody said, you know what? We're going to go in the transfer portal. I think everybody is new. It's a product of where we are. But again, talking about something where I think we would all reflect in the past and go, man, it was so much better than it is right now with that alone, too. I mean, talking about it across the board. But that's where we are, and we got to move forward.
Right. You got to adapt. If you don't adapt, you're going to die in it. It's not going to work for you. So you got to adapt, and that's the key right now. And even though we may not like it or we may think it was a lot better the way it was previously, right now you can't think of it that way. You just got to be able to make the adaptation and see if it works. And if it doesn't, obviously the fan base will tell you.
Yeah, no question.
Well, Fish, remember this. This is what I tell all the young broadcasters out there. When in doubt, leave it out. If you don't know the name, just be, hey, look at that catch. It's a touchdown by that fella. Great play. Touchdown Hoosiers. Look at number 12 out there. That's something. You can't say it. You can't say it wrong if you don't say it. That's what I always say.
Yeah, you got a point. You got a point, man.
I just say it wrong, and I blame it on me not being very smart. So
well,
I always say when we're cutting the highlights and I see a home run from one guy named John Smith, another guy, I'm like, I don't think I can say that guy's name. Let's go with the John Smith home run in the highlights here.
Yeah. Hey, Don, one final thing. Our table. We got any change in menu? Still the kind of the same thing going on? I haven't been in a bit.
Yep, they still have specials every night, but the menu remains pretty close to the same thing, and they're still packing them in.
Oh, man. I love it down there. I do. Our table. I got to get back. Whenever you guys go again and I'm not like 500,000 miles away someplace else doing a show on a Friday, let me know.
Well, Susie's going to be gone next week, so maybe Friday night next week you can join me.
Don, I'm down. I'm not. Yes. Friday.
Hey, Fish,
Yes.
I just did some research for you, Fish. On Friday, December 6th, you got a home basketball game against Miami. You don't have anything until December 21st. So I think you get on a flight December 7th and you go with me to see the Eagles at the Sphere. There's no excuses now. I've checked your schedule.
I'll check it. I'll have to check it.
He sounds like he really wants to do that.
That sounds like when I'd ask a girl on a date in high school. Let me check. Let me check on that. I'll get back with you.
All right, boys.
Oh, buddy. All right, next Friday, our table, you and me, we'll make it because that's like a week before the start of the high school football season too. So that's a perfect spot.
Well, tell Hagan to join us.
Yes.
I'll be there if you need me.
Our table. Yes, we'll do it. All right, Don, appreciate you. Great to have you back.
Good to be back, guys. Thanks.
See you, Fish.
Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Tony Renz is lurking someplace. We'll talk about the Dan Patch and more here at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino with Tony. That is coming up next. Also, I think we got stuff to give away, don't we? Jump on here before the break, James.
Yes,
Lita
we do.
Ford tickets still here?
Yep, we got Lita Ford tickets.
I went to a party last Saturday night.
I didn't get blanked.
And got into a fight.
I got my winner for the Dan Patch, by the way, just in case you're wondering.
Tony Renz and more on the other side. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. It is a big day, a big night in Anderson with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I love JMV. He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Here's Hoosier Park Racing at Casino in Anderson. But first, Lita Ford tickets. Lita Ford's going to be playing at the State Fair. I've got Lita Ford tickets right now. Chris Hagan, Lita Ford was a part of what late 70s band?
With Joan Jett.
And who else?
Joan Jett.
And Sherry Curry, I think, was a part of it as well. And who else? Yes, exactly. Yes, Patty Smythe was a part of it, too.
We've got trouble.
Who's here.
We've got trouble in the building.
We've got trouble is brewing.
Trouble
right
with
here.
a capital T.
Is that Jen Eichler right there?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's why I noticed that.
He knows who you are. You're famous.
I know. You are. All right. Hey, number 9 at 239-1070. Get your chance at those tickets right now. That's Chris Hagan of Fox 59. I'm JMV. Cam's the on-site engineer. We're at Harrah's getting ready for the Dan Patch here in Anderson. And there's Tony Rins. Tony Rins has this incredible title that's always way too long for me to remember because I'm not very bright. So, Tony, remind us again of your title.
I am the executive director for the Indiana Standardbred Association. So I represent all the horsemen that race not only here at Hoosier Park, but also all the county fairs.
Wow. That's incredible.
Oh, it's been fantastic, John.
That's great for you, though. You do a hell of a job. You're always a great guest for us. Always love talking to you when we come up here. A huge listener to the JMV Takeover. By the way, that thing is on fire right now.
Oh, it is.
It
is.
Like, I saw some numbers for this the other day, and I went, what in this world is happening here? There's no way I'm going to be able to quit that ever. It's going to be me Saturday night forever.
Isn't that amazing what that's morphed? Because you started that during COVID
I
in
did.
20, and
Just
that
jacking
thing
around.
is just taking off like a rocket.
It is incredible, especially like this time of year in the summertime. That's when it really hits. But that's tomorrow night on B105.7. Tonight here is the Dan Patch at Harrah's. Tell everybody what they can expect when they get here.
You know, we've got 15 races on tap. We've got Chris Hagan here. We've got JMV here. You've got the Dan Patch Stakes. That's the richest signature race for this track. It's a $300,000 purse. You're going to have horses come in from all over North America to compete for that. What's really good about this one, it's going to be very competitive tonight. We don't have that one horse that is just going to run away like a Bulldog Hanover like it did a couple years ago. It's going to be a very competitive race. Our hope is that the Indiana breeds come in 1, 2, and 3, just like in the Olympics.
Which one are those?
You got Buzzsaw Russ. Hang on.
What about Coach Stefanos? That's
Coach
my pick.
Stefanos,
Yes.
That's an Indiana breed.
That's my pick.
What about JMV's a Stallion? Where's that pick?
JMV's a gelding is the name of that horse.
What year is this, John? We've been doing this, Dan Patch, for...
I asked Rick Moore the same thing, and I can't remember.
I feel like we're on 5, 6, somewhere like that.
It is. And it's always this time of year we come up here. I always think about last year at this time. I was talking, and we stopped during the national anthem, and the national anthem happened here when we were on break, which is much different. I always remember those moments, too, because we always stopped down for that. But to us, what's amazing is just the entire facility in general as well, and how much that has grown. Everything you guys have put together here over the years, it's incredible.
You know, I've had the privilege. I came in 07. My real background is casino background, and I came up in 07 as part of the opening team here to build the casino, renovate the horse racing track, and we had a real special 12, 13, 14 years here and really integrate it and build something unique, and it's just carried on since. And we see horse racing thriving in Indiana. It's a $2 billion economic impact on our state, and it touches all 92 counties. So when you think about when a horse needs hay, where they're getting the hay from.
Yep.
When the farmers need manure, where are they getting the manure from? From the horses. So it's a trickle down all around. And from John.
I think I mowed my back 40 today, and I think you could probably get some hay out of that because I think I let it go too long.
And we were talking earlier with Rick about this whole complex here. When you think about the combination, I mean, you can't get much better. You got the casino. You got the state-of-the-art facility here. Oh, by the way, you can have a first-class meal over here watching. Sportsbook right behind us. The bars have all been upgraded. I mean, once you walk in this door, you're here for 4 or 5 hours, and you're having a great time.
It's an entertainment complex.
It's what you need.
Absolutely.
That's what we all need, too. Absolutely. So schedule things out for us this evening, too.
First post goes off at 6:20.
36 minutes to post. It's right behind you, John. I want you to pay
I'm
attention.
not facing that direction right now.
It would be a lot of effort for him to turn his head. What's the time in between? A lot of folks ask me, what's the time between starts of races usually?
Standardbred's a little quicker than Thoroughbred. So Thoroughbred, it normally takes about 20, 25 minutes in between. Standardbreds, we're going to go somewhere about 10 to 13 minutes in between.
Awesome.
So they're going to go a little faster and
That's a
click
good
off
pace.
a little faster. The Dan Patch Steak itself, I believe that post time somewhere close to 10:30. And then we've got 15 races. Dan Patch is the 12th race, so even after that, you got 3 more. We'll go to about 11:30, 11:45 tonight.
That's awesome. Plenty of time to get out.
You got any of the old Larceny product around here anywhere too?
I definitely. I seen
the Larceny product.
I seen some of the small batch over here.
Oh, yeah.
And then I seen small batch down there.
How about that?
We've got a group from Final Third Cigar over in. It's near Pendleton. That's not the city, but it's somewhere near Pendleton. That group comes up here, and they really support that Larceny.
Yes. Well, that's our good friend Brent Halverson, by the way, too, with Larceny and all the products that they have under the Heaven Hill Distillery umbrella. I know you and Brent have been tight for a long time as well, so it is. I think I'm about ready for a little ginger ale and Larceny.
Hey, John, I do have to do one quick thing.
Yes.
I've got a very young listener out there, and he's actually a horse owner, Carter Conrad.
Okay.
And his mom, Sarah Conrad, both own horses. He had one question for you. He's listening as we're speaking.
Shout out to Carter.
Why is the University of Louisville football not ranked higher?
Hell, I don't know, Carter.
And I asked that same question because I'm from Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really paid a lot of attention to it, so I don't know. Maybe they're not as good as what people that are Louisville fans believe.
You got Coach Brown down there now.
Well,
So
there,
see if he can't put
I
some
mean, I know.
magic
Yeah, and this
together.
year number 2. I don't know. I think there's probably a reason behind. There's not any early season belief as of yet. Is that fair to say?
That could be.
Yeah, fair to say.
Might be a dark horse.
Yes. So yeah, Carter, for you, maybe. You just got to get a couple of games to see exactly what they can do with Jeff Brown right here again in year number 2. All right, remind people once again here tonight, Dan Patch, Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson.
Right here in Anderson, just exit 226 off 69. Casino stays open 24/7. We'll start racing at about 6:30, go to about 11:30 tonight. 15 races. Great outdoors area. Got a green space down there. I've seen some bouncy houses going up, so if you've got kids, bring them out. That's free of charge.
Yeah, that's awesome, too. I'm ready for a cocktail.
Sounds good.
There you go. Hey, Tony, thanks for always having us, man.
Thank you, buddy.
And thanks for listening to the JMV Takeover and supporting that.
Absolutely.
All right, it's Tony Renz right there. One more time, your title?
Executive Director of the Indiana Standardbred Association.
John Griffin's driving right now, listening, very proud that I just handed it off to you right there. Thanks, Tony.
All right, have a great one.
Tony Renz right there. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson with the Dan Patch tonight. I've got the Colts. What is this called again?
Colts Happy Hour.
It's not the Colts Happy Hour. I was going to call it the Daily Update. I do that with Matt every day, though. You know what? And since I do that with Matt, James, maybe it's time to go ahead and change that up and be more consistent with it. It's just like the Colts Daily Update. Is that fair?
Yeah,
or is
sure.
that just, again, magnify just how I don't have the smarts real good, I guess, maybe a little bit. No, Colts Happy Hour coming up at the top of the hour, too. I'll remind you of the weekend. It is going to be a busy one around here, especially with the Colts in the preseason game. That and more coming up from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. We're live, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Your Harris Hoosier Park race of the day, 50-50 in betting and dining. The winner gets... The winner is Ben Reed. The horse was Blue Label. $5.60 on a $2 bet was the payout. $2 exacta $17.60. The trifecta went for $10. And again, we do this weekly, actually daily during the week show here. The Harris Hoosier Park race of the day, 50-50 in betting and dining here at Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Chris Hagan.
I'm very excited about tonight's big race. And I've released my pick, the Dan Patch.
I'm going to get Jennifer on
Coach
here, too.
Stefanos.
Hey, Jen, put your face down
Now
there.
you're blocking my face.
Hi.
The viewers want to see more of me.
No, they don't.
Unbelievable. And on that note, I'll just say it's hot and you need a pool is what I'll say.
Yes, that is so true. But it's unseasonably cool.
Do you still say that all the time? It's hot and
You didn't give her an
you need a
intro.
pool.
You didn't give her an intro.
Well,
to the
because
show.
you were going to do it, I tossed
Clearly
it to
it's
you
your
to
show.
do it. Yeah.
welcome back to the Hagen podcast.
That's why I handed it off to you because you were
It's
going to
Jennifer, a.k.a. the Watson's girl, making an appearance on the show.
Yes.
And you were complimenting John on how he did such great commercial reads, and I'm like, well, nobody's
It
done
was
more
good.
commercials than you have.
Yeah.
I did do them a long time.
Were those cue cards? How would you say all that stuff?
No.
Memory?
In the beginning, yes. And we wrote them on poster boards.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
To walk through the store. Yeah. But
So there was some weirdo walking through the thing with you with a poster board?
no weirdos.
Okay, just regular people?
Yes.
Kurt Tuvey?
They were, yeah, what? Maybe. No, was he my camera guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, he did not hold the poster board up.
Could you do
It would
one?
have been like somebody like,
Could you do one impromptu
helper.
right now? You could uncork a commercial if you had to.
if I had to, sure. But, yeah, I've been asked, like, oh, can you say, like, it's hot, you know? And you're
That was that was always very sexy sounding too.
Oh, well.
Maybe for
no.
you, John, you pervert. She was just doing a commercial for a pool.
When you were of age, it was.
I guess. Yeah.
We're actually the same age, so we're close to.
Or we would say
Close
also,
to.
it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, you're one of the most recognizable faces here, but what people don't realize is there are people in Kansas City and Nashville and all these places that thought you lived there and
Yes.
thought you were a local celebrity when really the whole time you were here in Central Indiana.
Yes, that is true. I would be asked to, like, be in their parades. Like,
And you're
St.
like, I'm
Patrick's
500
Day.
miles away. Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't do it.
I mean, some of them might be like, yeah, I'll go. For sure.
For sure,
I'm not
yes.
turning down a party.
So we're gonna
Or fun.
We're gonna watch some races here. Is that why we're here?
Yeah, I guess I have to figure out. who
Jen
I'm
can
gonna-
pick winners like nobody's business.
No, I can't. Like, I'm a terrible gambler.
You brought a crew too. With
Yeah,
you. I like the
did.
crew.
The J&J crew.
Yes.
I think where were we when you guys were with me last time? It was-
Murphy's.
Yes, it was. It was during the Pacer playoffs, right,
Yes.
against the Bucks, I think. Murphy's. It
Murphy's.
was. Is that one of your hangouts up there?
It is one of our hangouts.
Don't be telling the weirdos that listen to your show.
Oh, yeah,
we're-
fair.
What
Good
weirdos?
grief.
They
Hey,
always go to Murphy's. No.
They're playing the music. I want to let you know, 12:30, Fox 59. I'm live from the Sideline Blue Zone pregame show, 1 o'clock, kickoff with the Broncos preseason opener with the Colts.
So, Jen, when are you guys going to be at Murphy's so I can tell
Jeez.
everybody out there?
Pretty much every day.
Not pretty much every day you can catch her there. Jen, thank you for
Thank
stopping by
you.
here as well. Cam, great job from you. Cam, are you with me on Sunday morning? Colts pregame huddle begins at 10 a.m. Me, Joe Reitz, the Gorman, and Bill Brooks. Touchdown town.
Billy Brooks?
Yes,
Woo!
Billy Brooks. There you go.
I was at a fashion show with him once.
I can't wait to bring that up.
I know. I was at a fashion show with him. He's the nicest guy.
Nice guy, it is.
He is.
JMV Takeover tomorrow night, 6 until midnight on B105.7. All requests, be ready for that. But up next, Colts Happy Hour with me. I'm going to hang around a little bit longer here with you. All the Colts info you need to know. Jen, give me another woo.
Woo! Let's go party and bet.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Back with the next.